Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It's May 25th. It's 7:56 in the morning on the East Coast. We're going to be breaking down this new Game 6, just Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, going back to Toronto, going back to Jurassic Park, where Drake will be. And they're going to see if they can close this series out. I hope it goes 7. I hope we have another day of these showdown stays. I hope we have another day of just basketball, Game 7, the best two words in sports, if you will. So, yeah, going to be Game 6. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. Doing a ton of content right now because there's just loads of sports going on. We still have the NBA right here. We have the NFL. I did some NFL offseason top 10 rankings. I'm going to do a little bit more with that type of stuff in terms of fantasy football going forward. It's very early for that, but going forward, we're going to be releasing more and more of that, some stuff in the hopper. Doing MLB video will be out today, and if there's no MLB content out on a day and you still want access to the pitcher sheet, it's going to be up on Patreon today. I had somebody write a comment and ask about that, so that'll be out as well. And then we're doing other good stuff. Golf is out. Golf, now you're into the weekend. Hopefully you got your 3% of people getting 6 out of 6s. WNBA, we did a video yesterday, which got some backlash on. I apologize for not just giving out picks. I was being transparent. I did not have picks that I felt okay giving out. If I did play WNBA, it would be really, a lot of it would be a gamble like it is with any other sport starting off, except you have less news, which is a problem. So all that stuff and more is here at the channel. It's just me. Love doing this. It's a personal channel. It's not no business. So very, very passionate about this stuff. So welcome to the channel if you're new. If you could hit me with a like button throughout this video if you get any sort of satisfaction, and if you get any sort of value, hit that notification bell and the subscribe button. And if you're a new subscriber, or if you've been a subscriber, and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Today, we're going to do a question of the day. We gave out another thing. I reached out to another person. We'll do $5 PayPals because I'm burning a hole in my wallet, both in DFS and by doing this. So $5 PayPals. Who will be the highest scoring player from 4,000 or below? Yeah, let's go 4,000 or below, highest scoring player. And it's probably going to be George Hill. This is not that good of a game. Let's say point per dollar. Point per dollar, highest scoring player from 4,000 or below. Not many to choose from. $5 PayPal. Let me know that. Drop that down below. Drop that down with your PayPal if you feel comfortable. Otherwise, I could just reach out to you guys and girls. So thank you so much. Let's start this video. Tons of free stuff on the channel. Before we hop right into it, Draft Dashboard is sponsoring us throughout the rest of the NBA playoffs. This is an NBA video. You can check out Draft Dashboard. You've got a lot of cool things going on there for the NBA. They have their lineup optimizer, ownership projections, which don't really matter as much for showdown slate in terms of ownership projections, but lineup optimizer helps you take some of your biases out. They're moving that lineup optimizer over to some other sports like baseball. Their baseball stat sheet I've been using and so sort of baselining with my own things, and it's looking really good. And then they're adding WNBA right now, which they have some things over there that not really any other sites have for WNBA. And I'm excited to see those tools roll out because I'm going to definitely be using them. So check out Draft Dashboard. Let me get you right now. It's 30 days for $1. There's the promo. There's the plug. 30 days for $1. Link down below if you use my link. It helps me out for sure, but it's also going to help you out those 30 days for $1. So let's get into it. Game 6. Game 6, and by far the biggest thing that happened last game, and something that if you were playing, you should have taken advantage of. You should have not have sat there with your hands in your pocket. Right before tip-off, there was a starting lineup change, which we've kind of been suspecting for a while now. When is Malcolm Brogdon going to go back into the starting rotation? And he did. He finally went back in Game 5, and we said that he was going to see 34 minutes in that previous game, if not for the blowout. He saw 34 minutes in this game, starting. So that's all good. That's all fun and well. So what pretty much happened was they played a smaller rotation the rest of the way, and that impacted not just their team, the Bucks, but it also impacted the Raptors. So you get Malcolm Brogdon starting, you get Nikola Mirotic going to the bench. Well, that's going to hurt Nikola Mirotic. That's also going to hurt Ersan Ilyasova, putting two guys who are pretty much power forwards. Yeah, Mirotic's been playing the 3, but pretty much power forwards on the same rotation or just off of the bench. It hurts both of them. You saw Mirotic getting, 9-10 minutes in that game, and it's because they went smaller. They gave Patty Connaughton 13 minutes. They gave Eric Bledsoe the most minutes he's seen in a while, 32, 33. They gave Sterling Brown 3 to 4 minutes. They dusted him off and took him off the bench. So 3.5 minutes for Sterling Brown, and I think that was a product of their running smaller rotations, so they're going to run out a little bit of Sterling Brown. They gave big minutes to George Hill. They were playing small in that game, and I think that was fair, and I think that what that did, and it's probably going to continue to happen if Brogdon's coming off of starting, which I don't see that not happening. So off of starting, if he's starting, what I think that affected was also Fred VanVleet's minutes. Look, we saw Fred VanVleet get 25 minutes in Game 4. I said, and I still do believe, a big part of that was Pascal Siakam foul trouble. He did play well. So you take into account that Fred VanVleet played these minutes and played them well, although I thought they were fake minutes, but he did play them well. So that gave him more opportunities. And once Malcolm Brogdon went into the starting lineups and the Bucks played a smaller rotation, meaning no Nikola Mirotic, it meant that Fred VanVleet was going to get some more increased run as that sixth guy off the bench instead of potentially 24 minutes or whatever it might have been, or more minutes out of Serge Ibaka. You got those more so out of Fred VanVleet. He took some minutes away from Danny Green. He took some minutes away from even Norman Powell. So it was nice to see that. He played good in Game 4. He got himself extra minutes, and then when the rotations went small, they just completely gave all the minutes in the world to Fred VanVleet, seeing 36, 37 minutes, absolutely insane. So that's sort of a recap of what happened, and a big part of it was because Malcolm Brogdon was in the starting lineup. You should be paying attention to those things. Malcolm Brogdon, he played very well. He was needed, I believe, to win, to finish first. And once he was in the starting lineup, you should have kind of jumped on that a little bit. So let's get into this today. I've got 18 players in the player pool, in the initial player pool, in terms of what they can actually do, in terms of they're going to play some sort of minutes. And yes, Sterling Brown has made an appearance for the first time since the first round of the playoffs. I have him for 2 minutes today. You can take those 2 minutes, you can throw them to Ersan, you can throw them to whoever you want, really. But I think I like the way that I have these minutes allocated as of right now. Let's do this before we even break down into it. We're going to blacklist somebody right away. It's going to be Sterling Brown. Look, 2 minutes, we don't want that. That's obvious. I don't have to explain that. I think he does still see minutes somewhere as in a rotation. He checked in for Bledsoe for a few minutes. They were giving bigger minutes to George Hill and Brogdon, so there was just this time where they needed to give rest to everybody for a few minutes, and that was Sterling Brown, and I think you could see that again. So, 17 players in the player pool, pretty much. Let's go down the list. I currently have, and this is factored by price, and you can see Kawhi Leonard is now more expensive than Giannis. I think for the first time in this series, he's at 11.8 and Giannis is at 11.6. I have Kawhi for 40 minutes today. That's what he played in the last game. He could play 42. I would not be shocked. But his average for this series is right around 40, so I'm going to keep him at that. Giannis I have at 38. He almost touched 40. He played 39.3, and he came out for like a minute in the fourth quarter because they were in a shot where they needed three-pointers, and they just didn't want Giannis on the court, which is more than fair. I still have Giannis projected for more than I still have Giannis projected for more than Kawhi today. Have him at 57.7, have Kawhi at 56. So it's not a big gap, but the fact that Kawhi is now more expensive, I still do favor Giannis. But here's the thing. We're going back home now. We're going, like I said, to Jurassic Park, Toronto. It's scary to want to fade a closing game with probably the most clutch player that was in these playoffs ever since the beginning. Maybe you can argue KD. But right now, Kawhi, at least at this point, he's the most clutch player left in these playoffs if you consider KD is injured. Kawhi going back home for Game 6 is something that he's going to have all the usage. He might play 46 minutes, honestly. I doubt it, but I would not be shocked if he just says, let's go to the finals today, boys. And he brings his lunch and he just takes everybody else's. So, Kawhi Leonard today and Giannis in terms of, I've been saying last game I liked Giannis in the captain. The game before that I like Kawhi. Who do I like today in the captain spot? Between Kawhi and between Giannis, I'm going to still stay Giannis. And it's really hard not to say Kawhi. I want to say Kawhi. So I really want to say Kawhi. My head and my heart are kind of saying say Kawhi here. But I think that he will be the more popular captain. And I still do have them both projecting out very similarly. Giannis, honestly, for more right now. And I even piped down Giannis's points per minute and increased his defensive matchup and reduced Kawhi's a little bit. And it's still giving me more Giannis. And it just makes sense. His point per minute is just off the charts. It has not been this series, yes. But I'm still going to go Giannis here, especially when people are down on him. They could lose today. The Bucks can lose today, and Giannis can still have a great game. So I'll still go Giannis captain. I don't think that that's going to be the popular choice, but that makes me a little bit even more excited to get Giannis not popular choice as the captain. All right, quickly, I just want to shout out our friends over at drafters.com right here. Great guys over there. A great game and a great format that they've created. So it's a fun new game. Drafters is a fun new game. They have this rank 'em game, right? And it's similar to your Draftkings, how they have a showdown slate like you're doing with these NBA showdown slates like this one here, except this is more so a one-game slate with a rank 'em where you pick, for the showdown slate, you're going to be picking all the way up to 10 players. That's pretty crazy. You're going to be picking 10 players, and your 10th player gets 1x, your first ranked player gets 10x. So same format, except there's no salaries, and you're picking 10 of them. You also get 2 reserves, so if one of your guys for some reason doesn't play tonight or gets scratched last second, which only one game, so I doubt you would not be knowing of it, but if something wacky happens, those reserves automatically move up into your 10th place spot. If you need both your reserves, your 9th and 10th, so you're not really losing out. They're not going to go into your first place spot, the guy that you like the 11th or 12th most. But yeah, it's a fun new game. It's a cool site. They have a 50% deposit bonus here. So check it out. Use it. That's free money for you to use on a site. You should be taking advantage of the site just because of that. But it is a fun site. There's no sharks over here yet. This is what it is. It's a rank 'em. If I had to do this and kind of saying it in the video right now, I think it's pretty obvious to try to get these guys in. If right here, Giannis and Kawhi. I mean, I don't think I'm shocking anybody. If you wanted to be really off the charts, you could put your Pascal Siakams in the 1. I'd probably go Siakam 3. If I wanted to be a little bit different here, I would probably be going with a Marc Gasol 4, which would be really different after his last game, but he's played just so well at home. And then from there on, I mean, I would have to think a little bit more about it. Number 5, I would probably be going a Kyle Lowry, or actually, let's go 5. I'll go for a rank 'em with no salaries, I'll go a Chris Middleton. Then I'll go a Kyle Lowry. Give me an Eric Bledsoe over a Malcolm Brogdon. I think that'll be a little bit different. Then we're down into this range. Where's your Fred Van Vliet? I'll take Fred Van Vliet and George Hill. So that's a quick 10. That's a really quick 10, but I actually like it. I like what we're seeing here. Again, there's just no sharks over on this game yet. It's a straightforward format. You don't have to worry about ownerships for the most part. You can do it a little bit. You don't have to worry about just a salary cap or anything like that. And again, you don't have to worry about these guys coming in. Fun new game. There's overlay in it as well. So get in there right now. You can join for $1. You can play head-to-heads. Anything you want. This is Drafters. I really like them. I like their game. I like their format. And I only market things that I actually enjoy and I think would be beneficial. So check it out, guys. This is Drafters. Let's get back to the video. So here we go again. We get now, after that, we get your second tier of guys. Your Pascal Siakams, who, once again, your Pascal Siakams and Chris Middleton saga. Siakam was 8,000 before the last game. He has a good game. Now he gets bumped up to 92. Middleton was overpriced at 94 after being 7,400. Now he's right in the middle pretty much at 76 or at 86. So that might exactly be the middle. I'm not positive. So yeah, you get these second tier players who are just the second best player on each of their teams. Where my interests, the price points are very similar to them now at 92 and 86. My interests are still going to be siding with Pascal Siakam here, even at the more increased price point. Look, I still do think we got the best Middleton game that we're going to see out of him back in game 4. And that's not to say that he can't play well. I have Pascal at 36. I have Middleton at 38. There's a very good chance they play the same amount of minutes, though. Right now, projection-wise, it projects out that you're going to get barely. It's pretty much the same. And actually, what this should be saying is, they should be saying 38 here for Pascal. Now, let's keep him at 36. What it should be saying here is that it's going to be a 0.9 because there's no more Giannis on him. It should be a 1.02. There we go. I had the rates in for defenses if Giannis was guarding him for a good amount of the game. So I have Pascal Siakam grading out at 42.5 points. I have Chris Middleton grading out at 38.5. So 4-point difference for $600 in price. That's not that big of a difference. I still take Pascal Siakam, but not even just because of the median projection, because of what I just said. Kawhi Leonard has been guarding Giannis a little bit more in each of these past games. It's increased in both games. You're getting the same treatment on the other end a little bit with Giannis on Kawhi, but more so the fact that Kawhi is guarding Giannis, that's a pretty big task, and Kawhi's just an absolute superstar. But when Pascal is guarding Giannis, there was foul trouble in Game 4. He's been in foul trouble in a few games because of that. You don't have to worry as much about that foul trouble, number one. And number two, that's a lot of energy to be putting in trying to guard Giannis Antetokounmpo on the other side of the court. So I like Pascal for those reasons. I like that the price point isn't that far off between him and Middleton. Those would be the two guys I would really choose from. So give me Pascal Siakam. Sliding down by Kyle Lowry continues to play really well, continues to play around 40 minutes in this series. Haven't projected for 37 fantasy points here. But if you're going to tell me to pick between him and now the guy on the other side right there, I guess you could say the other side, not really playing point guard, but Malcolm Brogdon at 72. Malcolm Brogdon's going to be one of the most popular plays today. So if you want to take a stand today, you take it on Malcolm Brogdon. It's scary. He's going to play 34, 35 minutes today starting. But he had a superstar game in the last performance. And he's a great player, but I don't think he's that good. I think he played a little bit over his head. He took away a little bit from Middleton. You still had a decent Bledsoe game. So Malcolm Brogdon at 7,200 is well underpriced. Very underpriced. I can tell you right now, for cash, if you're playing cash showdowns, that's where you want to go. But I'm okay not playing Malcolm Brogdon tonight. Sal, how the hell are you okay? You got to take a stand somewhere on a showdown slate. If I'm playing a ton of lineups, obviously I have Malcolm Brogdon. If I'm not, now the fact that everybody knows he's starting, now he just had a great game, there's going to be so much ownership on him. And really, for the most part, you shouldn't fade guys on showdowns that have a lot of ownership in NBA because they can get there more times than not. But, I mean, I have Malcolm Brogdon projected for 34.5 or 34.5, and I can get up to Kyle Lowry, who I projected for almost 4 more fantasy points. I think that if it's me being contrarian, I think that that's an optimal move right there. But again, there's nothing wrong with Malcolm Brogdon. He's sort of this player like we've had a couple of days in the past. Like last game, I had Marc Gasol, who at first I didn't like him, and the more I looked at the price, I started to like him more, and then he plays terrible. But at the same time, I couldn't have predicted his actual outcomes in that one-game sample. That today, that player is probably Malcolm Brogdon for me, who he just had a really good game in the last one, and it's sort of the Chris Middleton treatment, right? Just had a really good game in the last one. playing the same exact position that Middleton played that game. He played the 2. Do I think that he's going to go right back to the well and play that well? Now, the fact that the price point really didn't come up at all makes me a little bit more interested. This is one that I'll have to wait on later tonight. But Brogdon is a place that I would take a stand on and not play him to potentially differentiate my lineup if I didn't want to leave as much money on the table. Kyle Lowry continues to be at that price point at 8,000. Just a guy that if I land on him, I land on him. He's not a guy that I want to prioritize. I would be more so prioritizing Pascal Siakam, your Kawhis, your Giannis's into my lineups. And if I could fit Lowry or he falls into my lineup after I find some value chunks, then sure, that's fine with me. Otherwise, I'm not really prioritizing. I'm fine if I don't get to him. So that's your 7,000 and above range. Let's go down to the bottom. Pat Connaughton, he just quickly gets blacked out. I know he played 13 minutes in the last game. I know he's only 1,800, but I'm just not putting my money behind Pat Connaughton. I don't feel comfortable with that in any format. Ersan Ilyasova, the fact that Nikola Mirotic, and this is if Malcolm Brogdon continues to start, goes to the bench, I do believe that really impacts Ersan. We saw it in the last game, seeing minutes reduction for all these big men. I'm going to black out Ersan really quickly as well. So now we're down to a 15-person player pool, and it starts to get to the point where a lot of these guys are actually in play now because they're going to see right around 20 minutes or so. So going from bottom to top now, and then we'll focus on the mid-range. Danny Green, minute projection of 17. Saw really low minutes in that last game. Like I said, they went with a lot of Fred VanVleet. If I believe they're going to get a lot more Fred VanVleet today and still give Norman Powell decent minutes, which is what right now I have projected for, I think Danny Green's the odd man out. Look, they put Danny Green in. They continue to start him. And if Danny Green knocks down 2 early threes, he's going to play big minutes. He's going to play 25-plus minutes. But I'm not putting my money on Danny Green knocking down 2 big threes early on or even having those opportunities. He's been terrible in these playoffs. Maybe if they get to the finals, he can have a little bit of a spark. But right now, Danny Green is really no interest for me, projected for just under 12 points. Adios, Danny Green. These are all guys that should be obvious. So Nikola Mirotic's the one that I have a question about, and I'm really not concerned with getting to him. But these showdown sites get weird, right? Somebody funky goes off, like Fred VanVleet in the last one, or really Fred VanVleet and Serge Ibaka in the one before that. I think Mirotic could be that guy today. I don't think that if Malcolm Brogdon continues to get these same minutes and George Hill, there's going to be just no minutes left over for Mirotic, right? You're getting Brogdon now securing those starting minutes and more so than Mirotic was playing, and you're going to get George Hill off the bench securing just all the minutes off the bench for the most part. So that leaves really nothing for Mirotic. But if you wanted a game to say, okay, Mirotic comes off the bench, plays well, sees 20, 25 minutes, and he goes off, this could be it. Him coming off of the bench with the second unit, I think is a lot better for him. I think it just gives him way more usage, especially, look, you're going to have George Hill coming off with him, but I still think it gives him more usage than being out there with Giannis, being out there with Middleton, and now Brogdon obviously coming in for him. So I'm not going to take Mirotic out. 3,400 I think is too much money for potentially what could be another 15 or less minute game. But I'll leave him in there as an option in tournaments. Not a good one, but again, that could be sort of where that funky stuff comes from. I just don't see anybody below that really being the funky guy to get more minutes. I think this is going to be a very not out of the blue type game now that we know Fred VanVleet's going to be seeing stabilized minutes. Norman Powell, 26 minutes. I'll keep him in here. 3,800, he's still too cheap if he's going to see bigger minutes. Even if he does what I have him projected for at 3,800, getting you right around 18.5, 19 fantasy points. I think that's fine, but I do prefer George Hill. Last game, I had a live stream for an hour and a half. It was so fun. Thank you for all the people that were there. Thank you for all the people that donated. It was fun. The biggest question was Norman Powell or George Hill. George Hill was like $600 or $800 less than Norman Powell that day, 4,400 to 36, I believe, right? Maybe not. And I kept saying Norman Powell, but it was super close. Like, I had them both in the one lineup that I played, or both of the lineups that I played. I might have had them both. I really like them both. I did not see Fred VanVleet's minutes coming from this. And I was doing a live stream, granted, before they had Malcolm Brogdon in. If they put Malcolm Brogdon at the 2, I probably would have liked George Hill more, because then you're getting George Hill as the main guy off the bench with Mirotic, but still George Hill, the guy they've trusted in more so than a Mirotic, coming off the bench now without no Malcolm Brogdon. So that being said, I still love George Hill here today. I don't think I'm using recency bias. I don't think I'm point chasing. I have projected for 30 minutes. I think this team continues to play small. Those 30 minutes with the matchup that he'll have with his point per minute as of late, right under 24 fantasy points, that's obviously really good at 4,000. So today I do prefer George Hill over Norman Powell, both in minutes, both in point per minute, and just overall production. But again, I think it's somewhat close. But now that Fred VanVleet has sort of been unleashed, it's really hard for me to get to Powell. Now you get to the spot where you have Fred VanVleet and Serge Ibaka, and if you're telling me that with last game, and I don't really see how they go away from Fred VanVleet after he played so many minutes and so well, I haven't projected for 32 minutes today. I think that's fair. He's at 0.85 fantasy points per minute with a matchup, a neutral type of defensive matchup here. I have him at 25 fantasy points. Nothing spectacular, but 4,800 is too cheap. So whereas Malcolm Brogdon is still too cheap, and he just went off, I'm fine going to Fred VanVleet for just going off because I'll take the bite on the cheaper guy so I could fit in more guys up top instead of more of Malcolm Brogdon. That's where I lean right now. I'd rather have a chalkier guy in Fred VanVleet than the chalkier guy in Brogdon because I think both of them are going to be way too highly owned in each of the lineups. So I want to take a stand somewhere. So give me Fred VanVleet. I do like that. Serge Ibaka, if we're going to see these big Fred VanVleet minutes, Ibaka can still get there, right? He can still come in for Gasol. He can still see more minutes for Siakam, potential foul trouble. I just don't see it. I have him projected for 17 minutes today and pretty much 17 fantasy points. Not much here that I like out of Ibaka. And this is another guy like Nikola Mirotic who can come in and play 24 minutes like we saw him do 2 games ago when Siakam got in foul trouble and just play really well and be needed, score almost 40 points like he did. But I'm taking a stand somewhere. I'm blacking out Siakam once again. I know people aren't going to like that. I know that he'll probably be sort of this sexy contrarian, or people think he'll be a contrarian play off of Fred VanVleet, which really he is a contrarian play off of Fred VanVleet, but I don't think it's optimal. Fred VanVleet is not going to be getting in foul trouble. The only way that Ibaka gets in this game is if Siakam and or Marc Gasol get in some serious foul trouble, meaning like 3 fouls before the first half even ends or something, which is possible, but I'm going to not bet on that, so I'll block him out. So we're down to like, what, 13 guys now in this player pool. I feel comfortable with that. Going up a little bit more, you have the centers and then Eric Bledsoe. I think Marc Gasol is too cheap. I'll say it. 5,600. He had a terrible game. He's going back home where he's played extraordinarily well. He's averaged, 45 fantasy points, albeit one game he got an extra 10 minutes from 2 overtimes. Marc Gasol at 5,600 is too cheap. I'm not overthinking it. I like him a lot. I have him projected for around 33 fantasy points, and that's if he only sees 32 minutes. If you think Gasol gets a little bit of a bump, you can take more minutes off of Fred VanVleet, take more minutes off of even a Serge Ibaka or Norman Powell, and you want to give Marc Gasol 35, which is what he's been really averaging throughout the playoffs, if not a little bit more, then I get him at around 36 minutes. I like Marc Gasol a lot. That's where I lean on Marc Gasol. Brook Lopez, I prefer Marc Gasol for $400 more, even if there is an ownership difference. I just have Gasol grading out for 9 more points. I don't have much interest in Brook Lopez, but I'll keep him in the player pool because he's not that expensive. Eric Bledsoe came out, he played the most minutes that he's played. It seemed to be a lot better. Knocked down some threes. 6,200, I still have interest in Eric Bledsoe. I think I would prefer Bledsoe to Brogdon, mainly for that leverage, for that ownership leverage. And if you're telling me you have no money left over when you play Brogdon, I think I would take Brogdon out and put Bledsoe in. You have $1,000 left over. Obviously, Brogdon, and right now it's not that big of a difference. I think Brogdon still sees around 2 to 4 more minutes than Bledsoe. But last game for Brogdon was something playing over the top. This was a guy in the regular season who averaged, 30 to 34 fantasy points a game, obviously. And with these same minutes, really, right? The same team was on the court. So Bledsoe is the guy who had that same type of ability to average around 30 fantasy points a game, and I think Bledsoe has the bigger ceiling. So I'll take Bledsoe there over a Brogdon. I like Marc Gasol a lot over Lopez, and I think Fred VanVleet is very hard to get away from, as is George Hill at $4,000 if they're going to continue to play small. So let's go through it. I prefer, once again, Giannis over Kawhi, and it scares the death out of me, the fact that they're going back to Toronto, and it seems like Giannis has been playing really poorly as of late, but I'll take Giannis over Kawhi here. And that just sounds bad. Like, my whole head's saying, no, take Kawhi. You saw what he just did. But I think the whole world is going to be thinking that, so maybe there's some leverage in that. I like Pascal over Chris Middleton. I'm not going to have much interest in Middleton today just because of the price point that he's at. Kyle Lowry's sort of a guy I go, if I get to him. I do prefer Eric Bledsoe over Malcolm Brogdon. These might be unoptimal or seem like unoptimal decisions, but if that leaves me $1,000 extra on the table, and I think that these guys are very similar players, definitely during the regular season, and it seems like they got similar minutes in this last game, I'll take Bledsoe, who's going to be a lot less popular. Marc Gasol I love, and I love Fred VanVleet today. It's tough for me to get away from those guys. Not really interested in Brook Lopez, not really interested in Nikola Mirotic or Powell today, but I think they're in play, and then George Hill I have some good interest in. So if I want to give you like a classified player pool, or a more in-depth player pool than what you're seeing right now, just off the first look, I'd say Kawhi, Giannis, Pascal, Kyle Lowry, Brogdon, Bledsoe, Lopez, or Brogdon, Bledsoe, Gasol, Fred VanVleet, George Hill. That's like 9 players. So that's what I would really focus on if I had to build a lineup right now to put it in. So that is it, guys and girls. Thank you so much for watching this. Loads of fun. Let me know down below, again, who $4,000 or below, who do you think scores the most points per dollar? So not just pure points. For $5 PayPal. Hit the like before you go. Hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think of the video. Peace out, gang.